Hello, my name is Drew Froidl, and this is my submission for the AMS 1060 honors project. To begin, I will talk about the prompt. The prompt that I have chosen is Myth and Modernity, to research the use of Greek and Roman myth in modern graphic design, advertising, corporate logos, other things like that, and prepare a presentation to share my findings. I have gone out and done exactly that. I have found some companies, some modern companies, who use mythological symbols in their logos and their advertising, and I've compiled them in this presentation today. The first one I would like to talk about is Versace. Versace is a designer clothing brand, and while they have not directly commented on the use of Medusa in their logo, it's obviously a tie to the mythological Medusa, and many different sources speculate that it could come from the idea of the shock and beauty that you see in Medusa, and that being emulated in the clothing that Versace produces. Another source says that the founder, Gianni Versace, used to play with her siblings in ruins that contained the head of Medusa on the floor. And so it might be a tie to her history and where she comes from, as well as just a good statement for the brand. This is an obvious tie to mythological symbols. The brand is Italian, so it makes sense that Roman mythological symbols would be present in their logo, and it's an obvious tie to Medusa. The next company I would like to talk about is another Italian brand, Maserati. Maserati is a high-end car brand that uses a trident in their logo. This is the trident of Neptune, Poseidon, to represent the fountain of Neptune in Bologna, the state in which Maserati is based out of. Another reason for the trident's incorporation in the logo is due to its representation of power. Obviously, the trident represents Neptune, who is in control of water, so that represents the power of water. But a god himself is a very powerful being, and incorporating his tool into your logo is probably a very good marketing statement, probably very good for advertising, and I think it could be used in many other ways, but this is the information that I was able to find on the incorporation of Poseidon's trident into the Maserati logo. The next logo I would like to talk about is the NASA Apollo logo. Apollo is a program with missions to send the first people to the moon. It was a program in the 1960s, and the logo came from mythological Apollo, who was the god of the sun, and the director of spaceflight development at the time, Abe Silverstein, proposed the name after reading a mythology book because he thought that the chariot of Apollo, this god of the sun, matched the ambition of the program. Now, Apollo isn't the only mission that we can see that have mythological ties. Mercury, the very first manned Apollo missions, are named after the god Mercury. And the current active NASA program, Artemis, to resend people to the moon, is obviously named after the goddess Artemis. We can also see the Gemini program. The Gemini constellation is made up of sons of Zeus, so that could be another tie to mythological symbols. So NASA obviously uses mythology a lot, and this is just one example. I actually really like, I have not put it on my slides, but I really like the logo for Apollo 11 mission specifically that contains the chariot, kind of to hint at the history of the name and where the name comes from. But this is the overall Apollo program logo that contains the sun, the earth, and the name Apollo to obviously represent that mythological symbol. The next company I will talk about is Dove. Dove is a soap brand, and they use obviously the bird dove as their logo. And doves, due to Greek mythology, are associated with love and peace, as they are associated with the goddess Aphrodite, Roman mythology Venus. Aphrodite, or Venus, is often depicted with these doves fluttering around her, and Dove, the company, used this idea to represent love, peace, and I guess it makes their brand seem more calm, in my opinion. It's a soap brand, so it's not necessarily directly related to love, but maybe that nurturing feel of a nice soap is really added to by the logo of the dove that represents love and peace, often in our society as well as in the society of Greek and Roman mythology. The next company I'd like to talk about is Goodyear. I think that Goodyear is the most well-known mythological connection in modern day advertising, modern day marketing. It could be due to their blimp, but the shoe that they use, the winged shoe of Hermes or Mercury, is obviously very commonly associated with the company, and many people know that that is Hermes' shoe. So I would say this is a very, very common one. The backstory on it is that the owner thought that the winged shoes that Hermes used um, to use or to do his jobs was a great representation of the company and embodied all of the things that the owner wanted his company to represent. So he incorporated the winged shoe of Hermes or Mercury in order to kind of relate to that desire to have his company like Hermes, like Mercury. So it's a very good mythological symbol, and it's very well known and a very obvious one. And we get a great backstory as well. The next one I'd like to talk about is the one that surprised me the most, Nike. I had no idea that Nike was a mythological, um, was related to a mythological symbol. I just thought it was a cool name. But according to Greek mythology, the swoosh that Nike uses was used to inspire warriors and gave them a lot of power. And the name Nike comes from the goddess of victory in Greek, Nike. And so the company was named after her. And so it naturally used the swoosh in combination with the goddess of victory to appeal to their customer base, which is sports people who want to win, who want to be powerful, who want to do well. And so this logo of power as well as the goddess of victory combined together to make a very good logo and brand name for their company base and their customers, which is obviously, as I said, sports people. The next one is Mobil, a gas company who has, I guess, no longer exists as they have merged with to become ExxonMobil. But they use the Pegasus in their logo, as you can see. And the Pegasus comes from Greek and Roman mythology and is very commonly associated with as a mythological being. Um, but it comes from the Seven Sisters being a nickname or term for the big seven oil companies of the a specific cartel in Iran. Um, the name the Seven Sisters comes from the sisters that are the daughters of the Titan Atlas. So the logo then incorporated the Pegasus to kind of hint at their mythological nickname, I guess, rather than um, history themselves. So I think it's pretty interesting to see how they use the Pegasus to not represent anything specifically, but just that mythological being to represent their nickname and uh, their how they're known as part of their brand. They appeal to that. The final one I would like to talk about before wrapping up my presentation is the Starbucks siren. I think a lot of people are very aware of the logo being some sort of mermaid, some sort of being that is not real, but it is a siren, which in this version of Greek and Roman mythology comes from, or is a two-tailed mermaid that uses its song to entice sailors and then lure them in and kill them. Um, so, according to Starbucks, this is the perfect metaphor for the siren song of coffee that lures us cupside. Those are their exact words. But they're using the siren to appeal to desire and habit. And I think that's a very good use of it. In many other um, mythological texts, we can see that the siren is half bird, half woman, but they have chosen to use the half fish, I guess, mermaid, two-tailed mermaid version of a siren to represent their brand. Overall, mythological symbols are something that are very common in our society, as you can see through the examples I have given today. Not only have these companies embodied the logo and used that mythological symbol as their brand name, but many of them have a good backstory related to other Greek and Roman mythology related things, such as the Fountain of Neptune, the ruins containing the Medusa head, things like that. So we can see that Greek and Roman mythology and their symbols still have a very large influence on our advertising and our everyday life. We see them a lot, and I think having a basic understanding of Greek and Roman mythology and what these mythological symbols are can help you understand more than you would expect. And I'm very glad that I was able to do that with this project. With that being said, my name is Drew Froidl, and this has been my submission for the AMS 1060 Honors Project.